Exactly. And there's a big fight for UFC 287. We're getting a rematch. Alex Pereira versus Israel Adesanya. Pereira is a plus 114. Adesanya a minus 146. So Adesanya is the one who's the favorite in this one. Bryan, how are you betting?
I think Israel Adesanya gets it done. He was getting it done last time until he got caught late in the fight. Not super dissimilar from what we saw with the second fight between Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman, which was when Leon Edwards landed one of the best knockout roundhouse kicks. One of the best knockouts you're probably going to see, period, in a championship fight, but one of the best roundhouse kicks you're ever going to see. Um, in the final minute of that fight. I think ultimately Israel Adesanya gets it done for a lot of the same things we saw last time. It's just a matter of could he just stay on his feet a little bit longer. And I remember thinking when we saw this fight initially, Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira last year, I remember thinking it was an early stoppage. When I went back to see
Ooh.
it, I was like, okay, it's a little more fair than I probably realized in the moment. And I was probably thinking like, with my wallet because I did have some money on Israel Adesanya winning that fight. But at the same time, I do think, and you got to protect the fighters ultimately. First and foremost, protect the fighters, protect them from themselves. Because a lot of times these men and women could have too much courage. And sometimes it's just better to live to fight another day, which Israel Adesanya is fortunately about to do. I think ultimately, though, there's a world where he could have potentially stood on his feet for the remainder of that fight, but he has to get out. He has to get out of Dodge for 5 full rounds. It's going to be hard to do again, but I think he's going to do it by establishing a little bit more aggression early than he's used to. I don't think he should mix it up with Alex Pereira necessarily, but I do think he should do what he's good at, and that's landing these leg kicks from range, being able to land some to the stomach to keep Alex Pereira at bay from keeping him from closing the gap, really leaning on his jab and not taking too many chances early on, but
Mm.
just being active enough so that he can bank some rounds and then potentially like pour it on as the fight goes and get stronger as the fight goes, as opposed to what happened last time where I feel like he was coasting at one point. Alex Pereira saw the opening, really closed the gap, was able to eat Israel Adesanya's shots, and then went in and got the stoppage.
Yeah, you know what? This fight is really, really interesting because it's the second fight in the UFC, but these two have actually fought before. This is actually the fourth fight with them, and Alex Pereira is 3-0 against Israel Adesanya if you count those two kickboxing matches. And in one of those kickboxing matches, and of course you probably heard this story if you didn't know, but Alex Pereira actually knocked out Israel Adesanya in one of those
Told.
kickboxing matches as well. So
Mm-hmm.
keep that in mind. That tells me, and the way that the first fight in the UFC was, Alex Pereira's got his number. He's literally got Izzy's number. So it's also like a mindset thing in Israel Adesanya's head. I wonder what's going on in his head and what he's thinking about this fight, because we know that he's extremely technical. We know that he has great timing. He's a good wrestler, got a nasty uppercut and left hook. And before this fight, he had only lost to Jan Blachowicz, right? Otherwise, he was pretty much perfect. And you look
who
at
he
his
moved
run.
who he moved up to fight in weight also, which is important to know.
Yeah. And when you take a look at his resume, Israel Adesanya is one of the best. Now,
Yeah.
going back to the first fight, I had Izzy winning, but I actually sprinkled on Alex Pereira and won some money.
Did you?
Um,
Oh
yes, I
wow.
did,
You should have
because
told me to do that. What the
I did. I sent you the screenshot what I won actually. I was pretty
after the
hyped.
fact? Did you tell
Yeah.
me beforehand do this and did I not listen? That's bad. I
We
don't think
literally broke this fight down, I think, for FanDuel.
I No, we were I don't think we were still I think you were still there at the time. I think my
No,
contract was
we
up.
broke this. I'm pretty sure we broke this
No,
fight
no, no,
down.
no,
Okay,
no, no.
maybe we didn't. Maybe we didn't, but I feel like we did. I feel like we did. Maybe we didn't. Maybe I did like a quick picks or something like that for this fight. It might have been that. Yes, it might have been like a quick picks or something. But
No,
I
this is November. I was out of FanDuel in October.
okay, so I did like a quick picks or something.
Yeah.
But I did sprinkle on Alex Pereira because listen, he's explosive. He's got real power. And going back to that first fight that they had in the UFC, after that first round, if you remember, Adesanya had hurt Pereira after, like, just before the round ended, right?
Yeah.
But
Good
Pereira
call.
recovered. Like, he recovered from that. And so that tells me that dude's got a chin. Like, he can take a hit. But when Pereira got Adesanya couldn't recover like that. Like, the way that Pereira won and the way that he's beat him before, you got to think mentally that's affecting him somehow. Listen, I know that Alex, I think he has the edge as a kickboxer, and he comes forward a lot. He's the aggressor. He's also
stronger.
training grappling. Like, he's been training for this, right? Because we know that Adesanya is going to want to get him onto the ground. Listen, I'm going to roll with the dog in this one. I'm taking Alex Pereira straight up on the money line, plus 114 to win this fight. I don't know how he's going to win, but that first fight was so close, and he's already beat Israel Adesanya 3 times. I think he goes 4-0. So I'm going to take the plus 114 in this one, Bryan.
So I'm going to take Israel Adesanya on points. So we are going to disagree here. Israel Adesanya on points. Yeah, we don't often. Israel Adesanya on points plus 170 is where I'm leaning with this. But I could totally see your logic, because again, it's like, could he withstand Alex Pereira's power and pressure for 5 rounds? He did not do that last time. He has not done that at any time they fought. So, I mean, you're probably making the smarter bet. But I just think Israel Adesanya is going to get it done. He's not one of these guys that I worry about, like, his mindset going into this kind of fight, right? Like, I feel
normally I wouldn't either, but the fact that Alex Pereira's 3-0 against him knocked him out cold one time.
Yeah.
Like, yo, like, you know when someone's got your number? Like, you know when you play basketball and someone's just has that ever happened to you? You were good defensively. I was pretty good defensively, but at one point I was like, I'm just gonna go get 15-5 and go home and not play any defense. You know what I mean? But you know when someone's got your number and they're like balling on you? That's what Alex Pereira has done to Izzy. And it's like, how do you recover from that? Because it's a matchup where Alex Pereira knows he's confident in this one, and he's the dog coming into this one. Like, betting wise, I'm gonna roll with the dog.
First of all, if somebody had my number back in the day when I was at my peak basketball wise, I would not admit it. So if they did, it's way out of my memory right now, because in my head, nobody's had my motherfucking number.
Okay? Lies. But
yeah, ultimately, I think Israel Adesanya is going to win on points. So look, I like, am I super confident of this? Not necessarily, and I will acknowledge that UFC betting is harder than boxing betting usually, because there's just more room for error, more surprises, which is part of why the sport is as popular as it is comparatively. But that's a large
and they make the big fights.
Yeah, because it's easier. It's easier to do so in MMA when you have UFC guys can fight UFC guys and can't really run into each other. Same thing in Bellator, same thing at One Championship, same thing at PFL. All of those three to a lesser degree than the UFC. But I just think ultimately, like, we can get into a macro discussion about that at some point. But I think, look, this is a great fight. This is a fight we want to see. This is the fight of the weekend, honestly, in combat sports, for being honest. And it's probably going to be the last fight, because I don't think any of the boxing matches that we've already discussed, so go look at that episode, because that'll be out by the time this is. I don't think any of those should cross over at the same time as this one in terms of like fight time. I think those will all be done. Shakur Stevenson, Bam Rodriguez, Sebastian Fedora by the time this goes live. So I'm excited for that, so that we can just focus on this fight as it's happening.
I hope it goes on at like 10 p.m. Pacific time, because I'm working and I'm on the road. So I want to head back to the hotel and be able to watch it. But the mandatory, we want to know how you're going to be betting this fight. Let us know. Are you rolling with Izzy for the comeback victory? Are you rolling with Alex Pereira? Let us know. Drop some comments below and let us know how you're also going to bet as well. Bryan,